Hello folks, Fuzz here, welcome to another Ni No Kuni 2 video, and version 1.03, a brand new update, has just become available for the PS4 edition of the game. I'm not 100% sure whether this is available yet to download if you're playing the PC version. If it's not, I expect it will be very soon, but perhaps the most notable change that this update brings about is the fact that you can now change the difficulty of the game. This is a long requested feature by many people who said they absolutely love Ni No Kuni 2, but the game was just too easy. Well, at last, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Though I have to say, I haven't tested these new difficulty features yet. I'm just so excited to tell you about it. But basically now, as well as the normal mode, which is the version of the game I've been playing up until this point, there will also be the option to play on hard difficulty and expert difficulty. And you can set the difficulty when you start a new game, or change it at any point from the main menu if you've already started a game. Now, obviously, with a new set of difficulties, this is going to change the difficulty of the monsters themselves. On hard and expert, they're obviously going to be harder to kill, but it also improves and increases the chance of getting better loot. But it doesn't just affect monsters either. As you can see, it suggests that the chests found in Faraway Forest and other places will also yield rare items. Now, I'm not sure whether this is just limited to weapons and armour. One of the gripes I had is that the endgame farming for crafting weapons and armour was made all the more difficult by the fact that the items you could get were deep within, that you needed to get to do so, were deep within the Faraway Forest, and even when you got to the correct location, they were very rare indeed. So you'd have to make multiple journeys through just to create the single weapon that you wanted, or whatever the case may be. So I'm not sure whether that addresses some of those issues, but we'll have to find out. I'm going to bump the difficulty up here then and see what kind of changes we're looking at. Despite the fact the tutorial says you can change the difficulty at any point from the main menu, you actually cannot change the difficulty when you're in a Dreamer's Door maze. This might be true of other dungeons as well. But definitely, because I've just tested this, when you're in a maze, you cannot change the difficulty. So if you want to go through, for example, on expert or hard, you'll have to go ahead and change it before you enter the door, or it will not work. This option will be greyed out for you when you actually enter through that door. Thought I'd let you guys know that, just in case you were about to make the same mistake that I did. I'm on floor 13 here then, set to expert mode, and I've just found a purple item for the first time. I've been killing quite a lot of stuff. I have noticed an increase actually in the amount of coloured items that are dropping, mostly blue but also a few extra red as well, more than I would normally expect to see. So I've also noticed the enemies are getting a little bit tougher. They're in their level 80s now, as you can see here by floor 13, and the levels haven't changed, I will say that. But they are a little bit tougher to defeat. Normally I'd still just hack them to death, but I'm finding that I am having to use my skills and my higgledies in order to take care of these battles. So I'll keep progressing further here, guys, and let you know how I find it as I go. Just a heads up as well, that purple ring I found is one of a new set of accessories. So accessories now on hard and expert, and only hard and expert, have a chance of dropping with 2 stats instead of 1. As you can see, all my other accessories have 1 stat, which I collected previously to this patch. But this accessory here, Uncanny Close Range Ring 4, has 2 stats. It actually boosts my stats themselves by quite a substantial amount there, as you can see, but also has 2 effects as well. Melee greatly boosted, and greatly boosts water resistance. So I think we'll go ahead and add that one. That could be quite useful. Hopefully I'll get a few more as well. I've reached floor 25 by this point then, and I had actually turned live commentary off. I'm now recording this commentary post recording the actual gameplay, and that's because it was actually getting a little bit more on the challenging side. And I have let the danger level rise here, which is something I always do when farming this final dungeon, but normally at danger level 5 I can whiz through, kill the final boss, and, have farmed the ingredients I need without too much trouble. However, I'm definitely noticing an increase on the on the harder difficulty mode, and I have chosen expert, as you saw. One thing to note as well, I actually found an item, which I don't think I recorded unfortunately, which is a new type of item, or a new rarity type. It was a dark blue item. So normally we have light blue, red and purple items, signifying how rare that item is and how powerful it is. I actually found a dark blue one, and I believe you can only find these on hard and expert, with an increased chance of finding them in expert mode. So as I say, I didn't get footage of getting that item, unfortunately, and it was the only dark blue item that I found throughout the entirety of this run. So just keep an eye out for those guys, and I'd be interested to know if you find any on hard mode as well, and at what kind of regularity you manage to get them. But in terms of the other coloured items, such as blue, red and purple, I was definitely finding more of them than I normally would expect to do, which was helpful. I did actually get quite a few upgrades, despite the fact that I'd already, you know, got a whole good set of endgame gear going on. I actually did manage to upgrade some of that gear with some of the new finds that I managed to collect. One other thing I want to note as well is that I haven't actually played Ni no Kuni 2 before this patch for a good few months, so I'd actually forgotten a lot of how to play, which means I had to kind of reacquaint myself with the game systems while also recording this footage, which meant that it might have just felt more challenging for me because I'd just gone into suck mode. But I do actually think there is definitely a notable difference in the challenge. Previously, you know, I'd be able to get through this dungeon and I probably wouldn't even have to use even all that many healing items. But on this occasion, even just regular enemies were able to just completely one-shot me or kill me very, very quickly. And it was a case of having to, you know, just constantly heal up and even use angel tears and all sorts to stay on top of things. So yeah, be careful guys. I wouldn't try and make your way through here on expert mode necessarily. Unless you've already got a good set of gear, especially if you're wanting to kill the boss. Remember, there's no way to save partway through this particular dungeon, or any of the Dreamer's Doors for that matter. So you do have to kind of balance, you know, what you're actually able to do with the fact that you want to be able to upgrade to better equipment that comes with these hard difficulties. The good news, of course, is that a lot of the damage in this game is avoidable using the roll feature and the dodge feature, etc. So even on expert mode, you should actually be able to avoid a lot of the damage if you're actually paying attention. One thing to note though is that as well as doing increased damage, I think the enemies also have increased health. At least this is something I noticed, especially on the last boss. There does seem to be a boost to all of the stats here, not just the damage stats. And so here we are on the final floor, floor 30. It's been a long hour or so as I've ground my way down here. And I was a little bit nervous about taking this guy on at expert mode, not knowing what to expect. But I thought, hey, you've got to try it at some point, so now seems as good a time as any. And by golly, is this guy a challenge. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I actually kill him. You'll have to watch. I mean, you could skip ahead, but I'd advise you to watch. Because, as you can see, you know, a single hit from this thing is going to kill a character. So you simply have to avoid being hit. Otherwise, you're just going to completely blow through your resurrection items. Remember, you only have a very small amount of resurrection items to bring into battle in the first place. You have 6 chances to resurrect. That's it. And that's with 3 angels tier, 2 phoenix tiers I think it is, and the one that resurrects everyone to life with full health, which you can only use once. So once you've resurrected 6 times, that's it. You know, you die again, then it's game over. So this is really, really an awkward fight. You do have to stay at range. That is the one thing I learned very, very quickly in this battle, and it is a lot harder than it is on normal mode. I think as well, because the boss has clearly had quite an increase to its health, you have to concentrate for a lot longer, which makes things a little bit more awkward as well. That said, he generally only has several attacks that he's going to throw at you. This one there, where he jumps and leaps in the air, you just need to make sure you dodge roll out of that one. There's another one where he kind of punches his way through the air as well, which you also need to dodge. I think he does 3 punches, so you'll probably have to dodge a couple of times. And then the other thing he likes to do is to throw a fireball at you, which is something else you can dodge, but a lot harder to do if you're close to him. However, that does have quite a long charge time, so just pay attention to that. Remember, the trick is to avoid being hit basically as much as possible. Now, with your AI-controlled characters, there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do about those. If they're going to die, they're going to die. So what I'd recommend to try and make the most of your resurrection items is to wait until both of the AI characters have been killed, and then at least when you use an angel's tear or whatever the case is, you are bringing 2 people back with it as opposed to 1. Hopefully you'll get lucky as well, and you might get awakened by what's-his-face Lofty using a golden ball. Just be careful, because even in awakened state, if you're spamming your abilities, which is something you want to generally do in awakened state, you still need to be paying attention to the boss's attacks. He is still going to be charging at you, and you can get killed even with that golden ball. But ultimately, you're going to need a good Higgledy setup. I use the Higgledies where you have 2 of the white groups that can summon the Knights. The Knights are very powerful. and then 2 of the green groups that can copy the white knights. Okay, so you can have up to 4 knights up at any one time. However, because this boss's attacks generally come in thick and fast and have quite a wide range on them, they take up quite a big area of the battlefield, there's a good opportunity that you are going to be losing your Higgledy spells before you get a chance to cast them. I should also ask you to bear in mind as well that when you actually select a Higgledy spell, as in when you go into the circle that they create, it does take a few seconds where you can't control your character at that point while they actually get the Higgledy spell active. During that time, the boss can still hit you, and when he does, chances are he's going to kill you. So try and make sure the boss is stunned, or he's just committed an attack and has to wait a couple of seconds before you activate any of your Higgledy abilities, just to make sure you don't get taken by surprise as you're doing so. I've just skipped ahead about 7 minutes here. I'm going to let the rest of this boss fight play out, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's see if I win or lose. And he's down. Whew. So some close moments there, it's got to be said. Shame he only actually drops rubbish for me. At least I managed to get some nice items throughout the rest of the dungeon. I'll be able to save again. Woo! But please, guys, let me know what you think of this new difficulty option here in Ni No Kuni 2. Something that was long awaited. I think it's great to see that it's finally here. One thing I'd be really interested in is seeing how the game itself, from the very start, plays on these harder difficulties. So if any of you, begin a playthrough on the expert mode, then please do share your thoughts on that and how you think that is balanced and just how much more difficult than normal mode it actually turns out to be. Because it's all very well me doing this testing now on a max level party, 99, with some good gear, but I'll be interested in knowing how it actually is balanced throughout the rest of the game when you're actually playing as normal. So thanks for stopping by today, folks. Don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed watching, and please do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more like this in the future. Take care all. I'll see you soon.